Am I the a-hole for not disclosing to my fiancé's family the fact that I'm adopted? At 27 and was adopted as an infant. I always knew. My parents never hid this from me or made it something shameful, but I never liked to talk about it with others. It normally opens up a lot of questions about my biological parents or real parents, as some would call them, or some people start talking about my parents like they're not really my parents. I had it happen when I was a lot younger, started school and told people my special story. So after we moved when I was 8, I stopped talking about it and acted to others like my parents or my bio parents. I told my fiancée when we started dating, but apart from her and some very close friends, I never talk about it with people. To me, it's not something that anyone else needs to know. This includes my fiancé's family. My adopted status was revealed to my fiancé's family during a recent visit of theirs. I got a knock on the door from a private investigator who informed me that my biological parents were interested in contacting me, and they overheard. They had a lot of questions, but primarily they were angry at me for 2 reasons. Firstly, and most importantly for this post, because I didn't tell them. They did not like being kept in the dark and did not like my fiancé's response that it wasn't any of their business. Secondly, because I expressed to the private investigator I was not interested in any contact with them and asked him to pass this on to my biological parents. My fiancé's family had the very reaction I try to avoid from people, and they asked how I could turn down the chance to know my real family. But the primary criticism is that I did not tell them and let them find out that way. They said they could have had grandkids affected by this and I wouldn't tell them. My fiancée reminded them it was none of their business and she had them leave early when they refused to let the topic go. But her parents are still pissed at me, so am I the a-hole for not telling them about it? Here are the top comments, plus Opie's reply.
Not the a-hole, your parents are your parents, period. Also, why is a private investigator knocking on your door for this? This is usually done with a letter.
OP replied, he was asked to make direct contact with me by my biological family. He had a letter from them as well.
Not the a-hole for the reasons listed by others. Let's hear it for your fiancée who is a real one. She keeps your confidences. Very nice. I strongly suggest you get out ahead of this with your ILs. I've read a lot of stories where helpful relatives make contact with the biological relatives for OP's own good. It never ends well.
OP replied, she does. She's a big believer in personal business and being allowed to keep things like that to those you want to know and not whoever thinks they should know.
Not the a-hole. Your fiancé stood up for you. I see why you don't tell people. They try to dictate about people you never even met. Wild how their brains work like that. It ain't their damn business.
OP replied, yep. It's funny because a lot of people are the opposite when you do want to know. I've met adoptees who wanted to know and were judged for that. I feel like when you fall on one side you get the other kind of people in your life more often. Like how could you betray the parents who raised you like that versus how can you not want to know your real family?
Adoption is an event in your life, not an identity or a label. You don't have to disclose that event if you don't want to.